Hi, I am Neil, and we will explore the guidelines in producing a developmental radio magazine. A good developmental radio program should have a balance between education and entertainment. That is why many developmental radio programs have a magazine format. You might think that a radio magazine is similar to a print media type of magazine, where it features a variety of topics and writing formats or styles. However, a radio magazine has its uniqueness when it comes to length, target audience, and topic considerations. The ultimate goal of a developmental radio magazine is to ensure that not only the program has fresh and updated content, but it must also be consistent, engaging, and useful in facilitating education and transformation to the target audience. So, how do we produce a developmental radio magazine? What are the requirements in producing a good program? Here are some guidelines in producing a radio magazine. The first thing is that a radio magazine should have a title. Select a program title that reflects the program's mood and content. Some titles are catchy, while some are straight to the point. But the bottom line of these program titles are that they should be easy to remember and should already show the mood and content of the program. Let's take a look at two sample titles. Health R by Radyo Sagada and Entrepreneur Especial by 702 DZAS. The first title is straight to the point, while the second is catchy. Nevertheless, these titles already showed us what to expect from their programs. Health R talks about health and gives us a serious and credible mood when talking about health matters, while Entrepreneur Especial talks about entrepreneurship and gives us a variety of moods depending on the speaker or case study. The next thing to consider when producing a radio magazine is the signature tune, which gives the identity of the show through its music. The current trend is to use the signature tune as a bed or something that can be played as background, transition, and filler during the program to avoid dead air. Not only your target audience will remember the program through its signature tune, the music should also convey the program style, mood, and content. Signature tunes may be lighthearted, cultural, serious, rural, or science-oriented. One common signature tune I hear in community radio programs in Cordillera is the tune of Sisi Wit, a Kalinga song popular in Northern Luzon. This tune is usually heard in morning radio shows, implying a lively vibe of the program. With that, listeners would expect the radio program to not only to be lively, lighthearted, but they would also expect the content to be cultural and also rural. Producing a radio magazine also needs a host or presenter. The host not only regulates the tone of the program through their approach and style, but they also moderate the content of the program. Most magazine radio programs have a dialogue format of hosting a program, making the presentation of the program dynamic, lively, and conversational. The ideal host of a radio magazine program should be a good broadcaster and at the same time an expert on the subject matter. But what if we cannot find one? What should we consider? Then we need to consider credibility. It is important for the host to know their material and the topics to discuss in the program. A good strategy can also be using two hosts, an expert on the field and a trained broadcaster. Other virtues would add to the listenability of a radio magazine are the following: friendly and outgoing, companionable, informal, brisky businesslike, knowledgeable, and authoritative. Again, credibility is important, and these virtues would show if the host is a credible speaker. Broadcasting is a skill that can be trained and practiced, but achieving credibility takes a lot of time and experience. Another factor to consider when producing a radio magazine is the linking style. The linking style is aligned to the concept of consistency and continuation. The presentation should hold together the various sections and formats. We can do this using continuity narration to link the segments of the program. Most radio programs, especially those with commercial breaks, use time checks to indicate a commercial break or a return to the program. The host should also tell their listeners that they will be back after a few commercials and will tell the listeners what to expect when they return. Keeping the interest high, the dynamic pace going, and the vibrant quality of the program sustained is the task of the host. Such qualities should also be present in every segment production. The key to an effective radio magazine production is the program content. The content should offer new, relevant, and interesting subject matter in every section. The types of useful information will naturally depend on the particular needs of your target audience. You may have an overall topic or theme in your program, but you need to trim these into sections or segments which are short forms of content so that the audience will not be bored in your program. With that, avoid content that is too long, too dull, above the listener's head, unfamiliar with the audience's experience, and most especially, content that has bad technical quality. Even if the content of the interview, for example, is good, but the audio is bad, the content will not have a significant effect to your radio program and may even tarnish the credibility of the program. Another thing to avoid are long pieces of speech, especially by one voice. Different voices, locations, or music bridges or stingers will produce an overall effect of variety. Here's a sample of a sequence guide or a radio magazine outline. You will notice that each time segment should be utilized and planned to avoid dead air. You will also notice that there are different segments of the program to provide variety. But there should be a balance on the number of segments in a program. Too much variety may distract the audience from the main focus of the program, while too little variety may bore the audience. Producers also use a broadcast clock to plot the program and the segments. Most radio magazine programs follow an hourly format. Here, the sequence guide is presented in a graphical representation of a clock. Here, segments were plotted according to its time, helping the host and the producers to determine the time and segment of the program, avoiding dead air and preventing random segments. Here are 5 tips when it comes to studio production. First is to rehearse the scripted narration for pace, pronunciation, emphasis, and style. Second is that all tapes, segment intros, music, and interviews should be well timed. Third is to provide the technician a copy of the script or at least a sequence guide with clear cue points and flow of materials. Fourth is to signal the approaching or ending segment cues to the technician when recording or airing the program. And finally, recognize the limitations of the machine and the personnel who will be handling the engineering side of the production. To end, a good developmental radio magazine should be well planned and the content should be able to facilitate community dialogue, transformation, and education. Following the guidelines of producing a radio magazine will help us in planning the technical aspects of the program and in designing a content that is meaningful, useful, and helpful for our target community.